Caribbean Sea, international waters, 1447 local time. Afternoon light burning hard across flat water. Visibility unrestricted in every direction. USS Stout, an Arleigh Burke-class Flight 2 A-guided missile destroyer, holding steady on a counter-narcotics transit corridor. Position logged, heading documented, every second of its patrol catalogued by satellite overhead. Then the Venezuelan radar signature changed. One vessel departing coastal anchorage south of Puerto Cabello. Tyne-class ocean patrol craft, 82 meters, 1,800-ton displacement, Otto Melara, 76mm deck cannon mounted forward, a close-in Millennium 35mm autocannon amidships. Speed climbing, bearing locked on the American destroyer. Range closing at 28 knots. They believed a single patrol boat pushing hard toward an isolated warship would generate the image Caracas needed. An American vessel backing down in its own hemisphere, photographed in real time. They had no idea USS Stout had been tracking their departure from Puerto Cabello for 51 minutes before they cleared the harbor mouth. What unfolded across the next 34 minutes will be examined in naval academies for years. Because it wasn't a battle, it was a demonstration. And the audience wasn't just Venezuela. At 1452, the Venezuelan patrol vessel cleared its own coastal radar shadow and closed to within 9,500 meters of USS Stout. Speed constant, course unwavering. The Arleigh Burke's SPY-1D phased array radar had been painting it with millimeter precision since 1401. Every course change logged, every speed fluctuation recorded. Fire control solutions had been continuously updated for 40 minutes before the first shot was ever fired. Let's talk about the SPY-1D for a moment, because what this system does is essential to understanding what happened next. The SPY-1D is a fixed four-faced active array radar. No rotating antenna, no mechanical sweep, just 4 panels integrated into the destroyer's superstructure, each transmitting and receiving simultaneously. It tracks air, surface, and subsurface contacts across a 300-degree field simultaneously, maintaining precise solutions on hundreds of targets while feeding data to the ship's Aegis combat management system in real time. The Venezuelan captain saw one American warship. The SPY-1D saw him as a data point in a network that stretched from sea surface to geosynchronous orbit. Subscribe now. Because when one missile ends a gray zone provocation in under a minute, the real story is everything that made that missile possible. Here's the context that makes this confrontation intelligible. The Caribbean has served as the primary counter-narcotics theater for U.S. Southern Command for 3 decades. USS Stout was operating as part of a 14-vessel task force, Operation Southern Shield, with a documented mission: interdict Venezuelan linked narcotics trafficking networks, maintain freedom of navigation in waters Caracas has repeatedly claimed jurisdiction over without legal basis, and sustain American presence in a theater where $18 billion in cocaine transits annually. 6 weeks of operations, 41 interdictions, 16 vessels seized, 14 tons of cocaine off the water. All without firing a weapon. Venezuela had been escalating for 4 weeks before 1447. Patrol vessels running interference. Maritime radio challenges claiming territorial authority over water sitting 40 nautical miles outside any defensible interpretation of Venezuelan sovereignty. Intelligence reported Caracas wanted a specific outcome: force an American warship to alter course under pressure, film the withdrawal, broadcast it domestically as proof the Maduro government could confront U.S. naval power and prevail. At 11:15 that morning, USS Stout received flash traffic from U.S. Southern Command. A Venezuelan patrol craft had departed Puerto Cabello on an intercept heading, intent assessed as provocative. Commander James Calloway, Stout's commanding officer, ordered general readiness elevation and addressed his crew. All hands. This is the commanding officer. Intelligence has flagged elevated Venezuelan patrol activity on our current heading. We are operating in documented international waters. Maintain professional bearing. All combat systems to full readiness. If they're testing us today, we will give them an answer they can't misread. What Commander Calloway didn't relay over the 1MC, Southern Command's assessment, included a secondary probability. The Venezuelan vessel wasn't just coming to probe, it was coming to fire. At 13:20, the patrol craft appeared at the edge of the SPY-1D's optimal surface track zone. It held distance for 40 minutes, shadowing Stout, transmitting warnings over Channel 16, claiming the American destroyer was operating in restricted waters. Every transmission recorded, every claim false. GPS data, satellite documentation, and independent nautical charting placed USS Stout 39 nautical miles from Venezuelan territorial waters. Not close, not ambiguous, unambiguously international. This is where the Venezuelan crew made their first calculation error. They interpreted American non-response to radio warnings as hesitation. Each unanswered challenge felt like leverage accumulating. The patrol vessel's commander radioed Puerto Cabello. American vessel is not responding, increasing pressure. Caracas interpreted the silence as uncertainty. What it actually was. USS Stout's crew maintaining noise discipline while the Aegis system built the most comprehensive targeting picture in Caribbean naval history. At 1420, the Venezuelan vessel altered course toward Stout, speed climbing, intercept geometry tightening. At 1435, Commander Calloway declared general quarters, all hands man battle stations. General quarters. This is not a drill. Venezuelan patrol craft closing on aggressive vector. All weapons systems are hot. Rules of engagement are clear. We are authorized to defend this vessel. Inside Stout's Combat Information Center, the atmosphere was controlled and precise. Operators at their consoles. Screens populated with track data. The Aegis system had already computed intercept solutions for the Venezuelan vessel's propulsion plant, its sensor array, its bridge superstructure, selectable precision-graded options generated automatically and waiting for authorization. The destroyer's 96-cell Mark 41 vertical launch system held Standard Missile 2 Block 3A interceptors, each capable of surface engagement mode. The 5-inch Mark 45 Mod 4 deck gun was manned and bore-ready. The Phalanx Block 1BC IWS was in autonomous standby. The Venezuelan patrol boat was carrying enough firepower to threaten a commercial vessel. Against an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer at combat readiness, it was carrying enough firepower to fund a precise and overwhelming response. At 1447, the patrol craft closed inside 7,500 meters. Speed unchanged, bearing locked. The 76mm Otto Melara opened fire. 3 rounds. Shells impacting water 65 meters off Stout's bow. Columns of spray catching afternoon light. Fully visible, fully photographed, fully documented by the P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft orbiting at 18,000 feet, 55 miles north. Sensors active, data link streaming real-time imagery to Fleet Command. Not warning shots, hostile fire in international waters against a U.S. Navy warship. Commander Calloway acknowledged the engagement and transmitted to Fleet Command. Simultaneously, his fire control coordinator reported solutions confirmed, propulsion and sensor targeting packages available, ready for launch authorization. Fleet Command's response came in 38 seconds. Stout, you are authorized for defensive engagement. 1 round, surgical, neutralize the threat without escalation. Precision matters here. Commander Calloway to weapons. Fire control, weapons free. 1 SM-2 surface engagement. Target the propulsion compartment. Disable, do not destroy. The Mark 41 forward, VLS, fired at 1455. White plume, clean ignition. The Standard missile. 2 Block 3. A climbed, transitioned, descended on semi-active radar guidance that had been locked to the Venezuelan hull for over an hour, 11 seconds of flight. The warhead detonated aft of the superstructure, not in crew berthing, not in magazine spaces, not in the fuel bunkers, in the propulsion compartment. Both diesel engines destroyed, controllable pitch propellers disabled. The vessel lost way immediately, momentum bleeding off across 400 meters of open water. Black smoke rising, navigation radar array shattered, communications mast severed. Dead in the water, listing 4 degrees starboard, no propulsion, no sensors, no ability to coordinate, no ability to threaten. 62 crew members alive. Simultaneously, Stout's Phalanx Block 1B registered 2 airborne contacts departing the Venezuelan vessel. Small, fast, low. Unmanned reconnaissance platforms launched minutes before the patrol craft opened fire, transmitting video feed to Puerto Cabello in real time. The Phalanx SPQ-9B radar locked both. The M61A 1 Vulcan cannon traversed. At 4,500 rounds per minute, each drone ceased to exist in approximately 0.3 seconds of trigger time. Debris into the water. Feed from Puerto Cabello went dark. Total engagement time from first SM-2. Ignition to airspace clear. 48 seconds. USS Stout damage, none. Casualties, none. The destroyer resumed its original heading 11 minutes after the Venezuelan vessel had fired its first round. Commander Calloway reported to Fleet Command at 15:03. Venezuelan vessel disabled. No threat capability remaining. Monitoring for crew distress. Rescue assets should prepare to respond. Venezuelan Coast Guard units arrived to recover the crew within 90 minutes. All 62 sailors accounted for. The patrol craft, valued at $91 million, was taken under tow toward Puerto Cabello. Repair estimate, $34 million. Projected timeline to restore operational readiness, several months minimum. Within 2 hours, Venezuelan state media broadcast its version. American aggression, unprovoked attack on a lawful coastal defense patrol, deliberate escalation by the imperialist navy. The problem with that narrative, the P-8A had been recording in high definition since before the Venezuelan vessel left port. Satellite imagery captured the entire sequence in afternoon light with perfect contrast. 3 76mm shells splashing near USS Stout's bow. The destroyer repositioning, not fleeing, repositioning, opening engagement geometry. The Venezuelan vessel pursuing 1 SM-2, leaving the VLS in a clean white column. The precise aft strike. The drone intercepts. All of it, every second, every frame, in conditions that made ambiguity impossible. Within 6 hours, the documented sequence was available to every major naval command on Earth. The Venezuelan account didn't survive contact with the imagery. Now, the mathematics. Because the arithmetic of this confrontation deserves careful attention. Venezuela committed a $91 million ocean patrol vessel to a provocation operation. Lost $34 million in immediate repair costs with months of downtime, plus the intelligence compromise of exposing Venezuelan tactical doctrine, electronic signatures, drone platform specifications, and fire control procedures to American recording systems that were active the entire time. The drones alone, whatever Venezuela paid for them, bought the U.S. Navy a detailed look at their maritime reconnaissance package. American expenditure, 1 SM-2 Block 3A, approximately $3.1 million. Phalanx ammunition, negligible. P-8A operational costs already budgeted. The entire response cost a fraction of what Venezuela spent on the vessel before the confrontation began. Ratio. Venezuela paid roughly $91 million to demonstrate that USS Stout could disable a Venezuelan patrol boat with 1 missile in under 1 minute. That is an expensive proof of concept to fund for your adversary. But the cost analysis isn't the real lesson. The real lesson is architectural. Venezuela attacked 1 destroyer. They activated the entire network. 2 Virginia-class attack submarines had been holding position below the thermocline layer since 1400, silent, undetectable by Venezuelan passive sonar, tracking the patrol craft throughout the engagement. The P-8A Poseidon orbiting at altitude wasn't just recording. It was coordinating, feeding targeting data through the Link 16 data link to Stout's Aegis system, to Fleet Command, to the submarines below. Every piece of the kill chain was active before the Venezuelan vessel cleared the harbor. The patrol boat's crew thought they were approaching an isolated warship operating far from support. They were threading through a sensor net that encompassed 180,000 cubic meters of ocean and extended to geosynchronous orbit. This is the lesson China's naval analysis community processed in the hours after the engagement. The South China Sea implications aren't subtle. An Arleigh Burke operating in contested waters isn't a lone target. It's a node. Strike it, and you trigger a response architecture that includes assets you cannot see, cannot detect, and in some cases, cannot effectively counter. The 2025 Caribbean engagement made that architecture visible without destroying anything that couldn't be repaired. That visibility was deliberate. Russia's naval staff drew a parallel conclusion, focused differently. Gray zone harassment works until it doesn't. The threshold between harassment and provocation is defined by the American commander's authorization, not by the aggressor's intent. When Venezuela crossed that threshold with 76mm rounds, the American response was already fully computed and waiting. The delay between first shot and SM-2 launch wasn't hesitation. It was the time required to transmit a firing authorization across a data link. Every regional Navy running patrol craft in waters near American task forces updated its operational calculus in the weeks following the Caribbean engagement. The question changed. It stopped being, can we pressure an American warship into withdrawing? It became, at what range does our patrol boat become a target solution that's already been calculated? The answer, based on the Stout engagement, is roughly 50 minutes before you open fire. The disabled Venezuelan patrol vessel returned to pier space in Puerto Cabello after being towed 140 nautical miles. It sits in repair dry dock now. Every Venezuelan naval officer who walks past that ship sees the same thing: the physical result of firing 3 76mm rounds at an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer in broad daylight in front of a P-8A and 2 attack submarines. The result is a hole in the propulsion compartment that cost $3.1 million to put there. Caracas calculated that one American destroyer, isolated, pushed hard enough, would withdraw to avoid escalation. They were wrong about the isolation. They were wrong about the calculus. They were wrong about what restraint looks like when it's backed by overwhelming and fully networked capability. Restraint backed by demonstrated lethality isn't a soft posture. It's the coldest position an adversary can face, because it means you're already in the kill chain. You've been in the kill chain. The only question is whether the other side decides to close it. Venezuela got 1 missile. A lot of navies took notes. If this analysis helps clarify how modern naval kill chains actually operate, share it with someone who still thinks one warship fights alone.